hot liquor tank going.
Yep.
And we're just going to crush grain. And we're going to make it happen.
Cool. Okay. So tell me about getting started with brewing.
Getting started with brewing, that is a kind of a fun story.
Yeah.
It was 2008, and my wife and I, we just left the church, and so a buddy of mine kind of found out, knew the news, and so he's like, hey, why don't you, he's like, he goes, I know you like beer and all that stuff. He's like, hey, why don't you come and take a brewing class with me? And so I was like, really? I was like, well, that's kind of fun. So I went down to a place in Kent, and it was called Larry's Brewing at the time. And the owner, Larry, elderly gentleman, held the class. And with his class, he was pretty much like, this is how you do it, this is the process of it, and here's how you go with it. So after the class, when I figured out how easy it was, I bought a kettle, and I did an extract, and what I ended up doing was my first beer was a Mac and Jack clone. Of course, you're not going to get your industrial, commercial, batch of flavor and all that stuff, but it was close enough. And so that's what I did. I did my first batch in the kitchen of my house with Extract Brewery, and the rest is history, and I've been doing it ever since. And I don't know, man, I just love it. I love brewing beer, and the church that we go to now, there are guys there know that I brew, and I bring them some once in a while, and everybody wins. Beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. So let's spread the cheer. And that's kind of how it goes, And I've been doing it ever since so maybe like 10 years since I've been brewing.
Cool.
And I really like it.
So when I was a teenager, my uncle brewed beer.
Oh.
And I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. This would have been back in the 70s.
Okay.
A lot harder to find ingredients. All of it, you had to be pretty resourceful back then. It was hard to get things. But the fact that he was doing this and making his own beer, I just thought was amazing. And I don't know if it was good beer or not, but it just stuck with me that it was something he was able to do on his own. He didn't have to be some big factory to do it.
Right.
Fast forward to 1997.
Okay.
That interest had just always stuck with me, and I decided to reach out and ask if he still had any of the stuff he used to do, and he mailed me a box of all of his extra stuff, and then I went to Larry's Brewing Supply. Was in Kent. That was really the big regional place. It was around for 27 years. They stayed in business, and I took a brewing class from Larry Rifenberick, and I just was really inspired. It just grabbed a hold of me. And,
cool.
And off and on, I've had bouts of being real serious, and then layoff, kind of like life gets in the way sometimes.
Sure, sure.
After kind of moving on from my previous job that I had most of my life, I found myself brewing a lot more, and Larry's actually needed some some help at a new store they had moved into, so I started working there. Worked there a couple of years and actually ended up teaching the same class that I took from Larry 20 years before.
Oh, wow.
It was quite an honor for me to do that.
That's cool. That is.
So equipment-wise,
Sure.
this is kind of the standard home brewing package that has all of the equipment that a brewer would need, starting with the brew day equipment, which is what's on the top shelf. The boil is done in the kettle like this, and then fermentation is done in the bucket here.
Okay.
It's going to stay in there about 2.5 weeks or so. Then moves to the bottling side of things. Move your work from here to a bottling bucket, and that's after that it goes into bottles here. Stays about 2 weeks in the bottles. So that complete kit is all the hardware side of what we would need.
Okay.
From there, it's just a recipe.
Okay.
Beginning brewers usually start out with extract and do where another company has done kind of the hard part, the heavy lifting, I call it sometimes,
Sure.
where it's turning the grain into a syrup. Kind of looks like this. Although we sell it in bulk, but the company packages it up into picks either the liquid extract that's kind of a thick syrup, or the dry extract, which is more of a powder, has been dehydrated.
Okay.
That becomes the base of the beer. And then from there, depending on the recipe, we add a little bit of specialty grains, which are all the grains that are in our grain room back here.
Okay.
And hops and yeast, and those are really what gets it going from there.
Okay.
One of the most popular starting out, first one is it's called John's Pale Ale.
Okay.
And it's popular because I made it up. So it's, but this shows in this particular recipe the combination of the amount of malt extract that goes into it, and then the specialty grains. So in this particular case, it has a Crystal 40 and Carapils, and in just a minute we'll go ahead and go in the grain room and look at these specifically.
Okay.
But each recipe is going to have different combinations of these. This particular one is not real dark. One that has, say, a porter or a stout, those specialty grains are going to be darker, and they impart more flavors and roasted flavors and things that you find in those sort of beers. It doesn't take too much of those to do it. In any case, the base of the beer is still always that lighter colored extract.
Okay.
And by utilizing all the different combinations of those, you get any kind of thing. So most people are going to start out with the recipe specifically and work from there.
Okay.
And then after you're doing it a couple times, maybe tweak one thing here or there.
Right.
And that's for somebody who's just kind of learning, a great way to learn what those various elements are.